Cristiano Ronaldo, captain of the Portugal national team and forward, is currently earning $100 million with $40 million on field and the other $60 million counted from multiple endorsements such as Louis Vuitton, Nike, and watch brand Jacob & Co, to name a few. With 3 World Cup titles under his belt alongside his countless other achievements, 37-year-old Ronaldo's highly praised international career has been a little controversial lately. Although his on-field attitude and performance have been under a lot of fire, and his relationship with his Manchester United manager is not the smoothest, in an interview with Pierre Morgan, Ronaldo simply stated, "If you don't have respect for me, I'm never gonna have respect for you." Even after all the backlash and drama, Ronaldo's popularity and status remains. He's still the most popular athlete on Instagram with a current follower count of 507 million. As the first ever to have over 500 million on Instagram, he is currently earning around $2.4 million for every paid post on the social media app. That's what I call effective social media use. Being the first to cross the $1 billion mark in net worth, the Portuguese captain was ranked the 3rd richest athlete in the world on Forbes 2022 list, only behind basketball stars Michael Jordan and LeBron James. Ronaldo's assets are spread across 5 countries, including Portugal, England, Spain, Italy, and his most expensive property in America. In the middle of building a mansion along the Portuguese Riviera for around $8 million, Ronaldo is set to retire in the Quinta de Marina area. You can't be an iconic soccer player without an astonishing collection of cars, and Ronaldo makes it look easy. With a combined worth of $24 million, the 5 Ferraris, 3 Bugattis, and other cars such as Bentleys, Maseratis, Lambos, and Mercedes give Ronaldo different options for his drives. Globally known for his stylistic approach to making plays and scoring goals, Argentina's forward Lionel Messi is not surprisingly one of the highest paid players, taking part in the 2022 FIFA World Cup. This season, Messi will be earning $65 million on field and $55 million including endorsements and brand deals, totaling to around $120 million for the season. Also known to play a forward for Paris Saint-Germain, the captain of the Argentina national team is looking to conquer the FIFA World Cup. After announcing that this will be his last World Cup, the 35-year-old has a strong chance to finish his lengthy and highly successful career on top. Along with Ronaldo, both players have managed to earn over $1 billion throughout their careers, with fans of both cheering them on this season. Known as one of the wealthiest players in the world, some of the luxury investments Messi has made include his $50 million car garage, mansions worth millions, hotels and resorts, and his $15 million private jet, which includes 2 kitchens and bathrooms and accommodates up to 16 passengers. As much as he has earned and invested, Messi has made donations as well and has partnered with UNICEF to create the Lionel Messi Foundation to help vulnerable children globally. Wales national team's Gareth Bale is earning $43 million this year. The winger from Major League Soccer club Los Angeles FC is regarded as one of the greatest wingers of his generation, as well as one of the greatest Welsh players of all time. After becoming one of the world's most expensive players after transferring to Real Madrid in 2013 for over $104 million, he holds a name among players like Ronaldo, Pogba, and Neymar as one of the most expensive soccer players. It only makes sense for Bale to be one of the top 10 highest paid players of the World Cup. If you could make millions of dollars in 16 minutes, what would you do with it? Bale decided to invest in an extensive car collection. Earning over $33 million in the 2020-2021 season, Bale was able to afford his whole garage with only 60 minutes of game time. Speaking of some of the most expensive transfers in the game of soccer, Raheem Sterling's transfer was worth $66 million. Playing as a winger and attacking midfielder for Premier League club Chelsea, Sterling has made his way to the top 10. After his record-breaking transfer to Manchester in 2015, with a deal worth $66 million, he was considered the most expensive English player of all time. With total earnings of $31.6 million per year and almost $400K weekly, he has become one of the top 3 earners in English football. Sterling has been putting in the work this season to make sure he is recognized for his efforts and unique performance. After transferring to league rivals for a fee of $47.5 million, the winger earns $1.2 million every month plus a sporting deal with New Balance. With a $3.1 million mansion in Cobham, Sterling's home overlooks the most posh areas of Eaton Park in England. And of course, Sterling needs to drive in style and is usually seen driving around in his Bentley Continental GT. Antoine Griezmann, known for his versatility in the game, has played as an attacking midfielder, winger, and striker in his career. The French national team player is considered one of the best strikers. With a base salary of 27 million, he is one of the highest paid soccer players as of right now. Additional income is followed by endorsement deals including Puma, where he released a custom pair of Puma boots, as well as made appearances in the brand's commercials. Other commercials he has been in include Beats headphones, Gillette, and Huawei phones. After signing to transfer to Barcelona for $255 million, one of the most expensive players of all time makes sure his lifestyle is as lavish as his salary. Staying in a $6.3 million house in the west of Madrid, which comes with a small football field and basketball grounds, it's easy for the NBA fan to brush up on his skills. Popular Belgian player Eden Hazard helped his team win the English Premier League during the 2014-17 season. Among many other achievements, this expensive soccer star makes $7 million each year from endorsements and has a max salary of $15 million with Real Madrid. Known for his creativity while executing plays, it comes to no surprise that Hazard carries the title as one of the all-time Chelsea greats. The lavish lifestyle comes easy to Hazard, living in a Spanish villa in Madrid almost worth $1.1 million, and a luxurious car garage filled with elite cars such as an Aston Martin, a couple Audis, Range Rover to name a few. There's no surprise that his net worth is around $100 million as of 2022. Belgian midfielder Kevin De Bruyne, also regarded as one of the world's greatest, is currently earning around $25 million. With a weekly salary of $365,000 with bonuses of over $1.2 million, the list of his endorsements include Nike, EA Sports, and Orange. While De Bruyne has already started making his future plans for after he retires, with a salary as high as his, I would be investing in a retirement home too. The gorgeous Belgian property includes a swimming pool and basketball court. It's the perfect way to stay active from the comfort of your own home. After retirement, De Bruyne plans on staying in this modern house with his family. Robert Lewandowski, who captains the Polish national team and plays as striker for La Liga club Barcelona, is also listed out of the top 10 highest paid World Cup players. With his 2022 earnings averaging to $32 million, Robert makes $8 million of his earning through endorsements. Lewandowski's skills have helped him become one of the richest soccer players in the world. With numerous brand ambassador deals, his career earnings as of 2022 are around $24 million. The income reflects his lifestyle, including a luxury apartment in Warsaw and some of the most expensive cars such as Aston Martin, Audi, and Ferrari, with a combined estimated worth of $9 million. As one of the internet's most popular professional soccer players, Lewandowski's Instagram is currently followed by 31.4 million people. Widely considered to be one of the most influential and successful soccer players of all time, Neymar Jr. is earning an average of $87 million, with $55 million under his contract with Paris Saint-Germain and $32 million through brand deals such as Puma, Qatar Airways, Epic Games, Triller, and more in 2022. Coming as a surprise to many fans, Neymar has hinted to the 2022 World Cup potentially being his last. Neymar's international praise for his gameplay abilities are renowned, and even after he retires, he is most likely to remain as one of the greats of the sport. It may not come as a shock to most soccer fans, but the highest paid FIFA World Cup player is currently 23-year-old Kylian Mbappe. The French forward is expected to earn $128 million this season. Due to the 3-year extension in his contract, football club Paris Saint-Germain will be paying him $110 million, which includes his salary and the season's signing bonus. And that isn't even all. Mbappe makes around $18 million off-field in endorsement deals, including partnerships with Nike, Dior, Hublot, Oakley, Panini, and EA Sports. Talk about a hustle. The young player's status has seemed to set the tone of his very promising career in soccer since managing to help France win the tournament for the first time since 1998 at the young age of 19 years old. I don't know how many people can brag about having achieved this sort of accomplishment before the age of 20, but I personally am not surprised that his rise to the top has awarded him with the title of the highest paid FIFA World Cup player of 2022.
Number 10, Tim Hardaway's homophobic comments. His exact words on the Dan Le Batard on Miami Sports Sports Radio was, quote, "You know, I hate gay people, so I let it be known. I don't like gay people and I don't like to be around gay people. I am homophobic. I don't like it. It shouldn't be in the world or in the United States." Really just a shame he said these things for public consumption. Even back in 2007, that wasn't something you should just say. Even though he wasn't currently in the NBA when he made the remarks, he was still in a very public part of the league. He was scheduled to make a few public appearances during that All-Star weekend after the commissioner, then David Stern, found out. He banned him from the weekend. There were a lot of negative remarks and criticism that he and the league had faced. In the culture we have now, it would have done nothing but negative things for him to come out and say. The NBA wants you to forget that one of its better players was openly homophobic. Number 9, the 19-18 final score game. The lowest scored game in NBA history happened on November 22nd, 1950. The Minneapolis Lakers versus the Fort Wayne Pistons. The Lakers had not lost a home game on their court in over 3 years, and with their 3 big defensive men and their smaller court, it was tough to do so. So the Pistons devised a plan to beat them, kill the clock. From the tip, they stood at half court with the ball until someone came out to guard them. They held the ball for long periods of time, between 3 to 5 minutes. George McCann made all 4 of the Lakers' field goals and 7 free throws, leading the game with 15 points. Bob Harrison made 2 free throws and Jim Poland made 1, totaling 18 points. On the Pistons side of things, John Oldham, Curly Armstrong, Larry Faust, and John Hargis each made 1 field goal, while John Oldham and Fred Schaus each made 1 free throw. Meanwhile, Curly Armstrong and Jack Karras made 3, and Larry Faust made 1 as well. If you were curious why there is a shot clock now, this game was a pretty big turning point in that development. Number 8, LATRELL Sprewell choking his coach. Not many good things came from his career, but this was one of the worst things to come out of it. He is going to be one of the most infamous players to ever put on an NBA jersey. It was during a Warriors practice on December 1st, 1997, that LATRELL Sprewell lost it and started to choke his coach, PJ Carlesimo, for about 10 to 15 seconds before being dragged away. He left and returned later, hitting a glancing blow before being dragged away again. He was originally suspended for 82 games before it was reduced to 68 games. That suspension lost him $6.4 million and a shoe deal with Converse. Sprewell said the punishment was too harsh. He is quoted as saying on 60 Minutes, quote, "I wasn't choking him that hard. I mean, he could breathe." Sprewell never played for the Warriors as he was traded to the Knicks following his reinstatement in 1999. It is safe to say that this won't be fondly remembered in league history. Number 7, guns in the Wizards locker room. It all started over a card game on an airplane ride. When players arrived at the court, Gilbert Arenas had 4 guns on display in his locker. He told Javaris Crittenton to pick one so he could shoot him with it. Javaris responded by saying he already had one, locked, loaded, and pointed right at him. The room that was once full of laughter and conversation had a sudden chill to it, taking them only a few seconds to realize it was real. They ran out and locked the door behind them, except for Karen Butler, who tried to talk calmly to Javaris. Both men then got suspended for the rest of the season. Arenas served 30 days in a halfway house and was out of the NBA for 2 seasons later. Javaris never played in the NBA again and is currently serving a 23-year prison sentence for a gangland shooting gone wrong. This incident essentially ended what had been a turnaround in Washington. Number 6, Michael Jordan gambling issues. He always needs to be in the middle of the action to feel that rush of adrenaline. In 1993, he was spotted gambling in Atlantic City the night before a game against the Knicks. He admitted to losing $165,000 that night. A San Diego businessman claimed Michael Jordan owed him over $1.65 million, and a former teammate, Jay Williams, talked about how MJ used to bet $100,000 on a rock, paper, scissors game. There is even a theory that his exit from the game to play baseball was also a suspension from the league office. The league doesn't want any false notes on their greatest player of all time. This is forever going to be swept under the rug so as to not tarnish his legacy. Number 5, Larry Bird and Dr. J's fight. The Boston Celtics played host to the Philadelphia 76ers. It was supposed to be a huge showdown between Larry Legend and Dr. J. Bird was by far outplaying Dr. J, and he was letting him know about it. Bird was one of the greatest trash talkers of all time. With 1 minute and 36 seconds left in the third quarter, Irving charged at Bird and landed a jab. At one point, players on the 76ers restrained Bird and let Irving get in a few good hits. Both players were ejected and fined a combined $15,000. At the time of the ejection, Dr. J had 6 points, 3 rebounds, and 5 assists, while Bird had 42 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists. Do you see why Dr. J charged him now? Number 4, Malice in the Palace. Basketball players fighting fans is not a good look. It was just a normal game on November 19, 2004. The Detroit Pistons played host to the Indiana Pacers. The brawl initially began with with 45.9 seconds remaining in the game, with the Pacers ahead 97-82. Pistons' Ben Wallace was fouled hard by Ron Artest, who slapped him in the back of the head. Wallace retaliated by shoving Artest in the face with both hands. The benches soon cleared, trying to keep Artest and Wallace apart. Artest laid on the table in an attempt to calm down. While he was laying down, Wallace threw a towel at him, making him sit up. As the coaches held Artest back, a fan, John Green, threw a Diet Coke at him and hit him right in the chest. Artest then jumped off the table, ran into the stands, and grabbed Michael Ryan, who he assumed threw it at him. Soon, Steven Jackson followed him in to help. Players and others raced into the stands to pull them off the fans, and the action spilled onto the court, where more punches were then thrown. Ron Artest was suspended for the season, and 8 other players were also suspended. The suspended players lost over $11 million in salary. This was a very bad look on the NBA and the players. Number 3, the decision. After winning 7 seasons and winning 2 MVPs with the Cleveland Cavaliers, LeBron was an unrestricted free agent, telling no one what he was going to do or where he was going to play before performing on his live TV broadcast. It was here where the famous saying, "I'm taking my talent to South Beach," came from. He completely abandoned his home and his team to be a ring chaser with Dwayne Wade and company. There were a lot of blowbacks both from the league and fans about the way it was handled. The Cavs went on to go 19-63 in the coming year. It was bad for the entertainment value, and it was bad for the image that is LeBron, turning him into one of the most hated sports figures at the time. Number 2, Delonte West and Gloria James. The supposed love affair between Delonte West and Gloria James hurt the public image of LeBron. It also seriously affected LeBron's ability to play in the 2010 playoffs, getting eliminated in 6 games by the Boston Celtics. LeBron was playing very well in the series and found out that Delonte was allegedly sleeping with his mom prior to Game 4 of the series. It destroyed the team's chemistry and divided them. It also most likely leads to a departure from Cleveland for LeBron. It is a shame that this happened and killed West's career, but it is worse off that it hit the mainstream the way it did, and publicly ridiculed both LeBron and his mother. The NBA is hoping the situation is forgotten and nothing like it happens again. Number 1, Kobe's assault charge. Kobe Bryant was accused of intimately hurting a 19-year-old girl at a hotel in Colorado in 2003. On July 4th, an official arrest warrant was released for Bryant. He immediately flew back to surrender to the police and was immediately released on a $25,000 bond. On the 18th, he was formally charged and held a press conference adamantly denying he hurt her and that it was consensual. There was a lot of discrepancy in both the accusers and Bryant's stories. Before the case was scheduled to go to trial, his accuser filed a civil lawsuit against Bryant of the incident. The two sides ultimately came to a settlement disclosed to the public. Bryant released a statement apologizing to the young girl and the trauma he put her through. He also apologized to her parents and family members for the whole thing. He admitted although he fully believed it to be consensual and she did not.
At number 10, when the Soviet team walked out. The 1973 playoff for a place in the 1974 FIFA World Cup in West Germany between the national football teams of the Soviet Union and Chile is notable for the political circumstances that marked the second leg of the playoff on the 21st of November 1973. It was scheduled to take place in the Estadio Nacional de Chile in Santiago, the Chilean capital. There had been a coup d'etat in Chile 2 months before, immediately after which people deemed undesirable to the new regime of Augusto Pinochet had been held captive and executed in the stadium. The Soviet Union asked FIFA to find a different venue in Chile. When agreement could not be reached, the Soviet team did not take the field and was disqualified from the tournament, giving the Chilean team a victory by walkover. Number 9, when they almost banned vuvuzelas. FIFA proposed banning vuvuzelas from stadiums. Columnist John Quillane described the device as an instrument from hell. South African football authorities argued that the vuvuzela was part of the South African football experience. The Spanish midfielder Xabi Alonso said, "Those trumpets? That noise, I don't like it. FIFA must ban those things. It is not nice to have noise like that." A Dutch coach remarked, "It was annoying. In the stadiums you get used to it, but it is still unpleasant." Commentator Faraya Mungazi said, "Banning the vuvuzelas would take away the distinctiveness of a South African World Cup. Absolutely essential for an authentic South African football experience. I mean, banning an instrument? Come on, that just goes too far." Number 8, when Egypt and Algeria faced off. This one's from my mother country, Egypt, and I can say we are quite controversial. There were disturbances before and after 2 football matches between Egypt and Algeria in November 2009, leading to diplomatic tensions between Egypt, Algeria, and Sudan. The matches were in Group C in the CAF section of the qualifying competition for the 2010 FIFA World Cup. The first match, the final scheduled match in Group C, took place in Cairo on the 14th of November, with Egypt winning 2-0. The result left Egypt and Algeria tied for first place in Group C, necessitating a playoff match in a neutral country. This took place in Omdurman, Sudan on the 18th of November, with Algeria winning 1-0 and thus qualifying for the World Cup final tournament in South Africa in June 2010. At number 7, when FIFA was accused of corruption. In 2015, US federal prosecutors disclosed cases of corruption by officials and associates connected with FIFA. Near the end of May 2015, 14 people were indicted in connection with an investigation by the United States FBI and the IRS CI into wire fraud, racketeering, and money laundering. The United States Attorney General simultaneously announced the unsealing of the indictments and the prior guilty pleas by 4 football executives and 2 corporations. The investigation revolved around collusion between officials of continental football bodies, CONMEBOL and CONCACAF, and sports marketing executives. The sports marketing executives were holders of media and marketing rights for high-profile international competitions, including the America's FIFA World Cup qualifying tournaments, and showpiece tournaments CONCACAF Gold Cup and Copa America. Number 6, the Hand of God goal. Argentina vs England was a football match played on the 22nd of June 1986 between Argentina and England in the quarterfinals of the 1986 FIFA World Cup at the Estadio Azteca in Mexico City. The game was held 4 years after the Falklands conflict between Argentina and the United Kingdom, and was a key part in the already intense Argentina-England football rivalry. It was also a match which included 2 of the most well-known goals in football history, both scored by Argentina captain Diego Maradona. The first goal after 51 minutes was the Hand of God goal, which Maradona scored by using his hand. At number 5, when Indonesia lost 10-0 to Bahrain. Before the game, Bahrain required a winning margin of 9 goals to stand any chance of progressing to the next stage. Leading up to the game, Indonesia had lost all 5 matches to date in their qualification group, allowing 16 goals in the process. Internal conflict in the Football Association of Indonesia led them to prevent all Indonesia Super League players from playing. They only sent players who play in the Indonesian Premier League, although Indonesia's regular, better, and more experienced national players play in the Indonesia Super League. Indonesia was understood to have fielded inexperienced players due to this situation. Prior to this match, Indonesia's record loss was 9-0, recorded in 1974 at the hands of Denmark. Number 4, when Brazil lost to Germany in what was expected to be a very close match at the 2014 World Cup. Both Brazil and Germany reached the semi-finals with an undefeated record in the competition, with the Brazilians' quarter-final with Colombia causing them to lose forward Neymar to injury, and defender and captain Thiago Silva to accumulation of yellow cards. Despite the absence of these players, a close match was expected, given both teams performed comparably well throughout the tournament. Also, both were regarded as 2 of the biggest traditional FIFA World Cup forces, sharing 8 tournaments won and having previously met in the 2002 FIFA World Cup final, where Brazil won 2-0 and earned their 5th title. This match, however, ended in a historic loss for Brazil. In a massive show of dominance, Germany led 5-0 within 29 minutes, with 4 goals being scored within a 6-minute span, and subsequently brought the score up to 7-0 in the second half. Brazil scored a consolation goal in the last minute, ending the match 7-1. Number 3, the disgrace of Gijón. The disgrace of Gijón is the name given to a 1982 FIFA World Cup football match played between West Germany and Austria at the El Molinón Stadium in Gijón, Spain on the 25th of June 1982. The match was the last game of the first round Group 2, with Algeria and Chile having played the day before. With the outcome of that match already decided and known, a win by 1 or 2 goals for West Germany at the expense of Austria would result in both West Germany and Austria qualifying instead of Algeria, which had defeated West Germany in the first game. The Germans scored the only goal within the first 10 minutes of the match, which progressively deteriorated towards near standstill in the second half. Spectators of the match accused both teams of fixing the outcome, although FIFA ruled that neither team had broken any rules. As a result of this and similar events at the previous World Cup in Argentina, FIFA revised the group system for future tournaments so that the final 2 games in each group would be played simultaneously. Number 2, building the stadium for the Qatar World Cup. One of the most discussed issues of the Qatar World Cup was the treatment of workers hired to build the infrastructure. Human Rights Watch and the International Trade Union Confederation state that the kafala system leaves migrants vulnerable to systemic abuse. Workers could not change jobs or even leave the country without their sponsors' permission. In November 2013, Amnesty International reported serious exploitation, including workers having to sign false statements that they had received their wages in order to regain their passports. Most Qatari nationals avoid doing manual work or low-skilled jobs. They are given preference in the workplace. Michael van Praag, president of the Royal Dutch Football Association, requested the FIFA Executive Committee to pressure Qatar over those allegations to ensure better workers' conditions. Number 1. Qatar's stance on the LGBT. The legal status of LGBT civil rights in Qatar has attracted attention in the media. Homosexuality is illegal in Qatar, with offenders facing fines and up to 7 years imprisonment. The HRW reported that Qatar has arbitrarily arrested LGBT people and subjected them to ill treatment in detention. The Gay Times reported that there are no known cases that the death penalty was enforced on homosexuality in Qatar. FIFA President Sepp Blatter initially said, "I would say they should refrain from any sexual activities." He later added that we, FIFA, don't want any discrimination. What we want to do is open this game to everybody, and to open it to all cultures, and this is what we are doing in 2022.
Number 10. Ike Batista. In 2012, Batista was worth an estimated $30 billion, making him the 7th richest man in the world. But when Batista's oil company failed to meet demands and Brazil's economy slid into a decline, the billionaire filed for bankruptcy in 2013, after authorities began investigating why Brazil's top companies had declined so quickly. They charged Batista with money laundering and corruption in January 2017. Then in July 2018, he was sentenced to 30 years in prison for bribing former Rio de Janeiro governor Sergio Cabral. Number 9. The Koch brothers. David and Charles, the brothers still with Koch Industries, are among the world's biggest polluters. Bill Koch, who split off from the family company, is a world-class weirdo who devotes himself to things like building a faux western town solely for his amusement and buying a $2 million photo of Billy the Kid. Though not as active in bankrolling GOP polls as his brothers, Bill was a big supporter of fellow 1% jerk Mitt Romney and has found time to fight against America's first offshore wind farm in Massachusetts. As for David and Charles, they have won a permanent spot in the Public Menace Hall of Fame, kicking their fellow human beings in the face with everything from funding climate change denial to strangling democracy. They have striven to reshape America into a Tea Party nightmare and have plenty of money to continue their mission. Number 8. Peter Peterson. Private equity mogul Pete Peterson, who founded the Blackstone Group with Steven Schwarzman, has a very straightforward agenda. He wants to kill Social Security and Medicare, the programs that keep millions of Americans out of poverty. His strategy is to channel gargantuan amounts of money into stoking nonsensical deficit hysteria. His focus on austerity policies, which have proved disastrous around the world, particularly in places like the UK, makes him an economic quack, but one who has found willing ears among fools and villains. Peterson has pushed his messaging into popular culture. He has held high-profile summits, and he has enlisted hordes of wealthy politicians, like Alan Simpson. He is a driving force behind the Fix the Debt campaign, a consortium of corporate bosses and rich individuals who have attempted to bring deficit scaremongering to DC in order to achieve cuts to vital programs and further strip hardworking Americans of their dignity. Number 7. Rupert Murdoch. Murdoch, the Australian media tycoon, has dedicated himself to coercing the public through the misinformation, intolerance, and contempt of ordinary people promoted through his News Corp. Politicians woo him for his cash and the vast influence of his newspapers, magazines, and TV networks, creating a foul nexus of influence that is corrosive to democracy. Be it union busting, race baiting, or monopolistic business practices, Murdoch has been there, done that. He's found himself embroiled in a hacking scandal in which employees of his newspaper were caught doing just about anything, including bribing police and hacking into the phone of an executed schoolgirl to get a story. Murdoch had previously tweeted what he considered a joke about an obese woman who fell through a New York sidewalk, asking if she got too fat from food stamps and welfare. Number 6. Steven Schwarzman. The Blackstone Group's co-founder Steven Schwarzman, described as private equity's designated villain in The New Yorker, is fond of throwing lavish parties for himself, including an infamous $3 million birthday feat in June 2007 at New York City's Park Avenue Armory. The party, which went down in history as a show-stopping chant to bad taste, featured a marching band of a 50-foot silkscreen recreation of Schwarzman-owned $40 billion apartment. Revelers included Bill Clinton and Cardinal Edward Egan, now considered a dark horse for the Pope. A couple of months later, the economy tanked thanks in part to the mismanagement and excess debt of the unregulated private equity firms that have served to weaken the real economy. Schwarzman captured headlines by comparing raising taxes on private equity fat cats like himself to Adolf's invasion of Poland. He's reportedly outraged that persons like himself have been the subject of contempt since the financial crisis. Number 5. Gina Rinehart. If there is a place for those who hate working people, Australian mining mogul uncle, Gina Reinhardt, occupies the innermost circle. The richest woman in the Asia-Pacific region likes to share her obscene philosophy of wealth, and had once made a case for $2 a day pay. She also instructed poor people to stop being jealous of the rich and to focus on working harder, and drinking and smoking less. She blamed Australia's economic problems on a socialist, anti-business agenda. But of course, Reinhardt, who inherited a $30 billion fortune, has never had a real job. Number 4, True Cathy. While Chick-fil-A is perhaps best known for its crispy chicken sandwiches, the company is also known for its controversy surrounding LGBTQ+ rights. Chick-fil-A and its president Dan Cathy, whose current net worth is $5.2 billion, were scandalized after the company revealed its support for Christian organizations such as Fellowship of Christian Athletes, the Salvation Army, and the Paul Anderson Youth Home, which have all held anti-gay beliefs over the years. In 2012, Cathy gave an interview to the Baptist Press in which he said he believed in the, quote, biblical definition of the family unit. That is, that marriage should only be between a man and a woman. Backlash ensued, and while Cathy claimed it was his own personal religious belief and that the company did not have any anti-gay agenda, activists went as far as to boycott the chain entirely. The chain has since stopped donating to these organizations, choosing instead to donate to education, homeless, and hunger. Number 3, the Walton family. The Walton family is the richest in the US and heirs to the retail juggernaut Walmart. They collectively claim 0.14% of the country's entire wealth. Or to put it another way, they are worth as much as the bottom 41% of all Americans combined. Their legacy is a grotesque business model that depends on pushing down wages and sinking living standards for millions of Americans. Rob is the chairman of the board of directors of the company that pays its full-time hourly employees an average of $12.50 and has a policy of keeping them part-time so they don't even earn that. The Waltons are big-time funders of conservative causes, with special emphasis on undermining public education. Jim Moulton, who serves as a chairman for the Walton-owned Arvest Bank, is particularly active in injecting his family's ill-gotten gains into politics. Number 2, Leon Black. In October 2020, a New York Times report revealed that Black, the billionaire founder of private equity and investing firm Apollo Management, paid disgraced financier Jeffrey about $50 million for personal financial advice between 2012 and 2017. The time period is notable. It means Black engaged in Jeffrey's services long after he was convicted in 2008 of an underage intimacy charge in Florida, in a plea deal worked out between him and U.S. attorneys that enabled Jeff to serve that many believe was a light prison sentence in a county jail. Black quickly expressed regret for his association with Jeffrey since his 2019 arrest, said that Jeffrey never did business with Apollo, and claimed he was unaware of Jeff's alleged intimacy ring of underage girls. Number 1, Jacqueline Mars. Jacqueline Mars, the heiress to the Mars candy fortune and company co-owner, was involved in a 2013 car accident that took the life of a woman and an unborn child. The Washington Post reported that, according to authorities, Mars had told a witness at the scene of the accident that she had fallen asleep while driving. The victims in the accident were identified as 86-year-old grandmother named Irene, who was sitting in the back seat, and the unborn child of Ashley Aker Blakesley, the driver of the Chrysler minivan struck by Mars' Porsche SUV. 5 other passengers were later treated at the hospital. At the time, Mars was the second richest woman in the US with a net worth of $20.5 billion. Her net worth currently sits at $30.2 billion. She pleaded guilty to a misdemeanor reckless driving charge, resulting in 6 months suspension of her driver's license and a $2,500 fine. The Aker family said they never wished for Mars to spend time behind bars for the accident. "We have only forgiveness in our hearts for her," Sharon Aker, Ashley's mother, had said in a court statement. "My husband and I would like to say thank you to Miss Mars for her kindness thus far and hope in time that she too will find peace." Number 10, offshore accounts. No list of the many ways the rich hide their money wouldn't be complete without mentioning notorious offshore bank accounts, such as those commonly used in the Cayman Islands, Switzerland, and Singapore. According to Pedro Costa, writing for Business Insider, the ultra-wealthy currently have around 10% of the global gross domestic product hidden away in offshore tax havens. Such tax havens, which often enable the wealthy to get out of paying their fair share of taxes, can contribute to income inequality in both the United States and around the globe. And here's a little tidbit. By 2017, the United States had returned to roughly the same income inequality levels seen in this country during the Great Depression. While offshore accounts aren't illegal in and of themselves, they cross the line where people set themselves up for the purpose of tax evasion. Number 9, business deductions. Starting a business or multiple businesses is a common way the rich aim to reduce their tax liability. But you don't have to be wealthy to use this method, notes John Dullen, founder of Money Smart Guides. If you're wanting to give entrepreneurship a try or even formalize a side hustle, this may be a good option. Of course, you have to go through the proper channels first. Creating a legal business entity typically requires a simple visit to the websites of your Secretary of State and the IRS. Once you establish your business, tax deductions are just one of the benefits you may be able to enjoy. For starters, you can write off losses the business incurs in the beginning, and then use business expenses to offset business income to lower taxable income, John says. Additionally, you can put money into tax-deferred accounts, like solo 401k plans, which allow the business owner to save a lot more than traditional 401k plans, since you're contributing both as the employer and the employee. Number 8, shell companies. You've likely heard about shell companies, but what are they exactly? A shell company is a business without operations or sizable assets of its own. Yet despite their shady nature, shell companies are sometimes legal. For example, an American business might establish a shell company when it wants to operate manufacturing plants in a foreign country. However, they frequently cross the line. An anonymous shell company, for example, can hide the assets of a business or an individual from the IRS, law enforcement, a spouse, creditors, and more. According to the nonprofit organization Americans for Tax Fairness, shell companies and other tax loopholes help U.S. corporations avoid paying as much as $90 billion per year in taxes to the IRS. Number 7, hiring family members. Another tactic the rich often use to shield income from taxes requires getting the family involved. If you have a business, you can use this strategy to your advantage too, by hiring your spouse or your children and paying them a salary. The IRS even says that one of the advantages of operating your own business is hiring family members. So how does this help you exactly? Your business gets a write-off, John explained, and your spouse or child can put the money into tax-deferred accounts. These accounts may further protect your money from taxes. Just be sure to follow the rules, like withholding any necessary payroll taxes. Number 6, donor-advised funds. People know that donating to charity can both benefit others and help you lower your taxes. Donor-advised funds are a next-level approach to charitable giving that can offer even bigger tax benefits. Donor-advised funds are like a personal charitable savings account used by the wealthy, says Scott Henderson, an accredited financial counselor and the creator of Simply Finances. The money you contribute to a DAF is tax deductible, and the money has to go to a charity eventually. For example, you could contribute $10,000 to a DAF this year and receive an immediate tax deduction. But you could let the money sit there until 2030 and then choose to send it to a charity of your choice. When you put your money into a DAF, it's not yours anymore. However, it has the opportunity to grow over time and multiply your giving capability even more in the future. Number 5, real estate tax deferment. When the wealthy sell an investment property, like a vacation home, they may use another tool to help them pay less to the IRS. Jim Wang, founder of Best Wallet Hacks, explains how a 1031 exchange may help you put off the cost of capital gains taxes when you sell an investment property. If you purchase a like-kind property, you can defer capital gains on the sale of investment real estate. The logic behind this deferment is that you're swapping one investment for another, so the IRS lets you defer the gains. If you want to defer your gains and postpone paying taxes on them, you'll need to complete a 1031 exchange. Eventually, you'll have to realize those gains. But until then, you can keep exchanging and grow your real estate portfolio without the pesky tax hit after every sale. At present, there is no limit on the number of times you can take advantage of this special tax deferment. Number 4, sparkling assets. Natalie Pine, a certified financial planner and managing partner with Briot Financial Advisors, sheds light on a shady practice that some dishonest rich people use to stiff the IRS. This illegal method starts with buying expensive jewelry. I've heard of people buying diamonds, in particular, and passing those on to children without filing any gift tax return or estate tax return, says Pine. They are small items that transfer easily unnoticed. There are no specifics listed on the inventory for the IRS to refute unless they audit the individual couple. Of course, Pine does not advise breaking the law in this way to avoid taxes under any circumstance. To be very clear, she says, "We have never done this, nor do we recommend it, but it is a free country, so you can still do it if you want." Number 3, life insurance. Permanent cash value life insurance, like whole life insurance or universal life insurance, is another place the rich put their money. Chris Abrams, founder of Abrams Insurance Solutions, says life insurance is an excellent way to eliminate the tax and market risk present in other assets or investments. Contributions are not limited by the government, like with 401ks and other qualified plans, Abrams explained. He also points out that when you take money out of your life insurance policy, you can remove it as a tax-free loan against your policy's passing benefit. Since it is a life insurance policy, there is still a death benefit if something unexpected happens. Of course, there is some risk involved. If you pass away while you have an outstanding loan against your life insurance policy, the insurance company will take the debt you owe out of your passing benefit before distributing any remaining funds to your beneficiaries. Also, if you borrow more money than paid into the policy in the form of premiums, those funds may be subject to income tax. Number 2, playing hide and seek with Uncle Sam. No one enjoys paying taxes, so no matter your income level, searching for new tax breaks can be a wise use of your time and energy. The ultra-wealthy, however, sometimes take steering clear of taxes to another level. Former Treasury Secretary Lawrence Summers, along with finance professor Natasha Sarin, recently released a research paper with some eye-opening claims. According to Summers and Sarin, the top 1% of taxpayers are projected to avoid more than $5 trillion in taxes between 2020 and 2029. Of course, the legal tax reduction strategies used by rich people are worth reviewing and utilizing when possible, but it is not a bad idea to learn about the illegal methods as well so you can avoid them and their potential consequences. Number 1, vacation homes. Vacation homes are another way the rich may opt to shield cash from the government, says realtor Brian Vance, founder of Bucks & Cents. Vince explains that with the recent increase of the standard deduction, a lot of homeowners no longer itemize popular items such as mortgage interest on their primary residence. State and local income taxes, along with property taxes, are limited to $10,000 if you opt to itemize. But that's not the case with a vacation home. Should you choose to let others stay there, Vance says, rent your vacation home for less than 14 days a year, and the rent you earn is usually tax-free. Rent at the house for more than 14 days a year, and you can deduct expenses, mortgage interest, property taxes, maintenance, depreciation, etc.